Jain friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. Women are willing to give up their lives and say that, we are not going to wear the hijab. Even if we die, we are not going to wear it. And so many people have already died but refuse to wear the hijab. And it's better if Jeremy Corbyn does not come in the way. It's not, the Israelis have moved beyond the point of being polite. Jain friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. Like this video, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. Now, I have news from the UK and this is regarding the war on Hamas by Israel. And this is by Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn is a UK politician. He's a member of parliament and he said some crazy stuff in the past. So Jeremy is not new to craziness and borderline lunacy. And he has written to Prime Minister Rishi Sunak expressing his growing distress over the latter's refusal to call for a ceasefire in Gaza. I would like to educate Jeremy Corbyn. First of all, you are still under the impression that the British Empire rules the world. The Prime Minister of UK can say whatever he wishes. Nobody takes cognizance of it any longer. Nobody cares. There is no empire. Get used to it. That's number one. Number two, you see, when Hamas attacked Israel, it knew that there would be disproportionate force utilized, right? So, not for a moment am I saying that, Palestinian deaths or deaths of those who are innocent is absolutely, I'm not saying it is absolutely okay. I'm not saying that at all. But I hate it when people are, lopsided in their opinions. I mean, this guy, Jeremy Corbyn, I didn't see him opening his mouth when Hamas was killing Jewish babies. He did not say a word. And now he's saying, the Prime Minister should do this. What will the Prime Minister do? What will the Prime Minister of UK do? What is it going to say? You see, the Americans said there should be ceasefire for a while. The American President Joe Biden said, okay, let there be a ceasefire and, for a certain moment of time and let it, let people who are hurt and injured. Israel said no. Israel is not in a mood to listen. This is a juggernaut that is rolling at 100 kilometers per hour. It is smashing there is a certain kind of fury that has erupted. I've spoken to a couple of Jewish friends that I know and there is a sort of a very deep-rooted seething anger. And it's better if Jeremy Corbyn does not come in the way. It's not, the Israelis have moved beyond the point of being polite. They've moved far beyond that point. Now it's blood for blood. And that is the way it is. You may not like it, I may not like it, but Israel doesn't care. It is going to keep on hammering Hamas. I'll tell you what will happen. Israel will keep on hammering Hamas till the time there is a permanent cure for this cancer called Hamas. It's not going to stop. This is a one-time show. They have to do the housekeeping. They have to get this Gaza thing sorted out. And they're going to get it sorted out. What Jeremy Corbyn says is of zero value and little consequence. Now, we have other news, ladies and gentlemen, today. And, there is news which is covered by the CNN, very interesting. Apparently, and this is what the US intelligence community feels, that what happened was that Russia wanted to supply SA-22. Now, what is SA-22? It's a SAM, surface-to-air missile, basically for AD cover, air defense cover, right? Effective missile. Now, it is also known as Pantsir. Pantsir is the local colloquial name for that. Essentially, what has happened is that Russia has supplied missiles to the Wagner Group, this SA-22. You're all aware of the Wagner Group? Prigozhin. You remember Prigozhin, ladies and gentlemen? The guy who died in the air crash, head of the Wagner Group? Now, Prigozhin is dead, obviously. So somebody else is looking after the Wagner Group, somebody else is leading it. But the fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, that the Wagner Group provides an invaluable service to the Russian Federation. What is that service? It is not just mercenaries. It is not just somebody Russia has to do the dirty work that Russia does not want to get involved in. It is also plausible deniability at a very wide scale. So if Russia wants some action done in Africa without getting its own hands dirty, they tell the Wagner Group, they pay them money. Wagner Group kills people, does whatever it wants. It protects Russian interests there. And tomorrow Russia can say that Wagner Group is a private enterprise and we have no control over it. What can we do? Wagner Group companies and affiliates are registered all over the world in these shady, small little, some PO box here and stuff like that. And you can never find out. It's spread all over the world. And Russia, the Russian government uses the Wagner Group. They use the Wagner Group for all these activities. So what has apparently happened is, Russia has given, as per CNN and as per American intelligence, Russia has given SA-22 air defense missiles or surface-to-air missiles to the Wagner Group, which has given the same to Bashar al-Assad of Syria. He's the dictator there. And Bashar, good friend Bashar, has given the same missiles to Hezbollah. Now, why does Hezbollah need SA-22? So for that, we'll have to do a little bit of a background information. It needs to be brought to you. So when Israel bombs Gaza, the Hamas people cannot respond. And why can't they respond? Because Hamas does not have air defense assets, right? So you have a free run. So what is air defense? Is, let us say, if you are entering into my territory, let us say the Pakistani Air Force or the Chinese Air Force wanted to enter India. So let's say they entered India. We would have our S-400, we would have our Trishul, we would have our other systems in place, where as soon as an enemy aircraft entered, right, somebody presses a button, the radar tracks, the missile takes off, and this missile starts chasing the aircraft, right? It destroys the aircraft. That is the entire idea. Okay. Now, in case of Hamas, Hamas has no such technology. So Israeli planes can fly over Gaza, and there is nothing that Hamas can hit them with. They'll fly at 15, 20,000 feet, 30,000 feet, and there is nothing absolutely that Hamas can do. There is zero that Hamas can do. They can pound Gaza with impunity, which is a good thing. Now, when Hezbollah gets SA-22, what will happen is that when the Israelis go into Lebanese airspace, there is a countermeasure that Hezbollah has. And the SA-22 starts tracking the Israeli aircraft. Now, there are 2-3 things here. These systems are sophisticated. This Pansir, SA-22, it's sophisticated. It is not something that terrorists can operate. So it's not like, a box of chocolates that Russia has given you a box of chocolates, unwrap and eat. It's not like that. It takes years and years of practice to master this system. Does Hezbollah have the time to master it? Does it have years and years? No. It's going to get bombed in a few days. That bombing has already started, by the way. So one needs to find out, is the Wagner Group also training Assad's forces? And is the Wagner Group also operating in Lebanon? Because if anybody has, this idea that, hey, you have got the latest, it's one thing to get the latest weapon systems, okay, that's one piece. And it's quite another thing to get mastery into it. So maybe let's give you a very, very simple example, okay? An AK-47. AK-47 is a no-brainer. It has 5-7 moving parts, right? It is the most uncomplicated of weapon systems. There's nothing, minimum moving parts, right? So AK-47, you put in the magazine, you cock it, you put it, the fire selector switch, you put it to automatic, aim, press the trigger, 30 bullets go out, end of story. Okay? So, but it does not happen in case of such systems like air defense systems. These are very complicated systems, which is why terrorists are happier using the AK-47 because of no-brainer. Aim and spray. That's it. And hope that you hit something. Though soldiers don't do that. Soldiers always aim and shoot. And, there's one trick. If you hear sounds of gunfire, all right, and you want to know whether these are soldiers shooting or terrorists, this is what is very common in Kashmir, so I'm telling you. When soldiers, I'm telling you this, so when soldiers shoot, it's like single, double, or maximum triple, but mostly tat-tat, tat-tat, in quick succession. Even when they're firing automatic, okay, it's tat-tat. And when a terrorist fires, it's like spraying water. Because he's untrained. A soldier is trained. He knows one bullet, one kill, ek goli, ek dushman. He knows. So, it's easy for the terrorists to use low-tech weapon systems. But when it comes to the SA-22, who's operating this for them? Who's teaching them? Who's operating? And even if you teach, it's not something that you can learn in a day. It'll take you months to master. At least master will take a lifetime, but it takes you months to at least get the basic system knowledge going. It has computers, satellite uplinks. There are so many things here, which Hezbollah has probably never heard of. So This is what it is. And the last news of the day, ladies and gentlemen, is Nargis Mohammadi. You remember Mahsa Amini, that girl who was killed by the Iranian police because she refused to wear the headscarf, and then there was, the hijab, and then there was rioting in Iran, and massive unrest in Iran. Yes. One of the people who there was activist Mohammadi. And Nargis Mohammadi was an activist, and she was put into jail. And when she was in jail in 2023, she got the Nobel Peace Prize. She is still in an Iranian jail. Now, she is in a critical condition. She has got a problem with her heart. She's got a problem in her lungs. But here's the catch. Ideally, in any sane environment, she would have been taken to the hospital. But Iranians say, we will take you to a hospital only and only if you wear the hijab. Only and only if you wear the hijab. This is what the Iranian police says. Otherwise, you cannot go to a hospital. So here is a woman who's dying, who's a prisoner, and who has done no wrong. She's in prison. She's a Nobel Peace Prize winner. And she cannot go to the hospital because the Iranians say the only condition which you have to fulfill is wear the hijab and we'll take you to the hospital and we'll save your life. And this brave woman says, even if I die, it doesn't matter. I'm not wearing the hijab. So the Iranian regime says, then we will not be able to take you to the hospital. And then this lady turns back and replies, that's your wish, that's your call. I'm not wearing the hijab, even if I die. So I think food for thought for many of those Muslim leaders in India, so-called. Especially in Karnataka, where we had, that girl saying that I'll wear the hijab, and she became, in fact, Al-Qaeda praised that girl, and a lot of other people praised that girl, saying that, she's fought for the right of Islam. No. You see, I'll be happier if my, if my young Muslim brothers and sisters, right, in educational institutes, if they were topping, if they were actually part of the power structure of India, I'd be so much happier. If they were becoming doctors and engineers and lawyers, and they are, but not in the quantities and not in the volumes that is desirable. And you look at the Sachar Committee report, and it's an eye-opening report. And then these Muslim leaders in India, they often mislead the masses. Not often, I'm sorry. They always mislead the masses. So you've convinced a bunch of girls in Karnataka that your job, why are you going to school? You're going to school to wear a hijab. They should be saying, how can we help you? Do you need money for tuitions? Do you need facility for tuitions? We want you to become a neurosurgeon. We want you to become a scientist in ISRO. We want you to join the Indian Army as an officer. We want you to crack the IAS and the IPS exams. We want you to get into the foreign service and become a diplomat. But these Muslim politicians in India, they're not saying all of that. What they're saying is you have to wear the hijab. And that is why they're creating a controversy. On the other hand, in Iran, women are willing to give up their lives and say that, we are not going to wear the hijab. Even if we die, we are not going to wear it. And so many people have already died, but refused to wear the hijab. Police are cracking down. And the latest is Nargis Mohammadi. Our respects to her, a big salute. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with that, I come to the end of this video. Now we're going to take questions and answers. So, the first comment here I have today is Flash Ketones. Jai Hind, Gaurav sir. Jai Hind, my name is Sachin. Hello, Sachin. My question is it considered justifiable for the French police to use lethal force, such as in the case of a woman shouting slogans of Allahu Akbar and subsequently being shot 8 times? If so, does this rationale also apply to situations where individuals express threats of violence, like the one who discussed beheading Nupur Sharma? See, there is no, Nupur Sharma was a TV studio issue here. All right, Sachin? So, Nupur Sharma was a TV studio situation where Rahmani said something against Hinduism, and Nupur Sharma got angry and said something against Rahmani. That's a totally separate issue. Now, this woman got shot. Generally in India, what I have grown up amongst Muslims, all of us have, we have had Sikh friends, Christian friends, Muslim friends in our class, So, in India, it is the experience, okay? There have been clashes between Hindus and Muslims in India, it's not new. But when suddenly, and I'm not talking about extreme circumstances, if there is a riot or something like that, but normally, you have Muslims chanting, Nara-e-Takbir, Allahu Akbar, and it's all right. But obviously, Europe and America have a different experience of the slogan. So if a Muslim next to me, or maybe 100 Muslims standing next to me say, Nara Takbir, Allahu Akbar, it won't affect me because I was born and I grew up in India. And that's all right. But in Europe, there have been cases of a lot of, across the world actually, suicide bombings after the slogan. So the Indian experience is different. This is what I'd like to point out. Let's be very clear. The Indian experience of Nara Takbir, Allahu Akbar is different. I've heard it many times in Lucknow. I've heard it in Kashmir. I travel and I've heard it so many times, and it doesn't matter. They have every right. The Muslims have every right in India to say whatever they wish to say. And the constitution gives them the right. But the same thing, the French are scared. The French are scared because, this beheading and stabbing and knifing, saying Allahu Akbar and then stabbing people. A few cases have happened in France. People entered the office of Charlie Hebdo and shot, I think, a dozen odd journalists. And they shouted Allahu Akbar apparently. And then people were stabbed 2 weeks back. 2 weeks back, 3 people were killed, and this guy also shouted Allahu Akbar while he stabbed 3 people, he killed 3 people, and then again this woman. So obviously you have that memory, right? So for me as an Indian, when somebody says Allahu Akbar, it doesn't matter to me. But for the French, it is the beginning of a terror attack. So it is your experience and you react to your own experience. Now, Piyush Prasad says, Jai Hind Major Sir. Hello Piyush ji. My question to you is, as you have said, India should provide monetary aid, firepower, including sending India's special forces to aid the IDF. What would be the geopolitical effects, if any, of this move? Would this affect India's ties with some of the pro-Palestine Muslim nations? Thank you for your valuable insights into this complex issue. Of course it would. Of course it would. But let me tell you one thing. You have to find a balance. India wants to become a superpower. Okay? Forget about Palestine, Israel, geopolitics for a minute, sir. And let me try and explain from my perspective. India says that we want to become a superpower. Okay? You cannot be a superpower unless you show force. Today, Qatar is very rich. Saudi Arabia is very rich. The UAE is very rich. Do people call them superpowers? Singapore has wealth. Singapore has tremendous wealth. Switzerland has got tremendous wealth. Germany has got wealth. France has got wealth. Does anybody call them superpowers? No. What is a superpower? The ability to project force across your territory, the ability to project force across the world. And that in a sense is the soul of, I'm not talking about the technical aspect, but that is the soul of a blue water navy. Why do you have aircraft carriers? Unless India is able to deploy force across the world, good or bad, that's a separate case. Whatever you do, people will be upset. Today, just because Hamas terrorists entered Israel and killed 1,400 innocent Israelis and Jews, they killed them. All Prime Minister Modi did was to say that, in this hour we stand with Israel. Anybody would say that. That's the humane thing to do. And yet, there are many Muslim countries that got offended. Oh, you stand with Israel. How can you stand with Israel? Oh, come on, have a heart. Innocent people have got killed. Right? So, this is a religious issue, first of all. This whole Israel-Hamas thing and Israel, rest of the Middle East and Muslim countries issue, this is a religious issue. It has nothing to do with geopolitics. And I'll make a special video explaining why I'm saying all this. But this is a fact. So, you see, there will be an issue, but India needs to project power. And both Israel and India have the same problem. Radical Islamist terrorists who have entered the country and caused bloodshed. Have we forgotten 26/11? I don't think we should ever forget 26/11. Similarly, I don't think Israel will ever forget 7/10. Neither will America forget 9/11. All right. Suren, Tokyo. Hello, Surenji. Recently, hundreds, thousands of Muslims united in protest for Palestine in Kerala. Will they do the same for 8 ex-Navy officers in Qatar who have been given the death penalty? Will they protest against Qatar to save Indians? I don't know if hundreds of thousands of Muslims united in protest for Palestine. Yes, there were Muslim protests, but I'm not sure about the numbers. There was even a talk by a Hamas leader. So yeah, that part of your statement is true. I don't know if there were hundreds of thousands of people, that I'm not aware of. And your question is, will they do the same for ex-Navy officers in Qatar who have been given the death penalty? Will they protest against Qatar? Here, it's not about Muslims protesting against Qatar. Have Hindus protested against Qatar? Have Sikhs protested? Have Christians No Indian has protested. You see, one thing is, I believe in calling a spade a spade. I will not call a spade a shovel needlessly. All right? So, you're saying that, these many people are in jail, 8 Indian Navy officers, former. And why are the Muslims not protesting? Even Hindus are not protesting. I have not heard of one single Hindu protest, or a Christian protest, or a Sikh protest, or a Jain protest, or a Buddhist protest, or a Parsi protest, or any other protest for that matter. No Indian is protesting. So let's not say that, hey, Muslims are not doing it. They don't have any special responsibility to protest against Qatar just because Qatar is a Muslim nation. But yes, I do condemn Muslim organizations getting that Hamas guy, right, to speak. And I do condemn Muslim organizations in Kerala and other places who are speaking for Hamas. If you want to speak for Palestinians, it's absolutely fine. But also condemn Hamas. Say that Hamas did something wrong. Don't try to airbrush it. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching this video. If you like this video, press the like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to press the bell icon. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata ki Jai.